Hey everybody, this is Anthony from VR Game Rankings. Welcome to another episode of our daily vlog series. This, of course, is Tuesday, November 14th, and we are in episode 32. Before we get started today, I did need to apologize for a couple of things. First off, why are the videos so late? Lately, the videos have been uploaded around 5 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, even 6 p.m. Pacific, which of course this translates to 9 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, etc., etc. Now, I do not want these videos up this late. There's no way I want to put these videos up this late. Unfortunately, this is just the way that it's been going lately. I hope to improve this. I don't know when it's going to happen. So for the immediate future, I guess you're just going to have to expect that the daily vlog, the VR Game Rankings daily vlog show is just going to be a nighttime show. Whether you're on the West Coast or the East Coast, and if you're in other parts of the world, you might not see the show until really the following day. And unfortunately, I don't really have an answer for this. A lot of it is just problems with like uploading to YouTube. I seriously have some gremlins that are hiding in this room somewhere, because yesterday what happened is I finished editing the video. The video is completely done and I started uploading it to YouTube. Okay. And so when you first set it up to upload to YouTube, it says it's going to take like 1 hour and 12 minutes or something. So I left it uploading and I'm busy doing other things. Maybe say 45 minutes later, I come back to my computer to check and see, is the uploading going? How far is the uploading? And the page that I was uploading on is just gone. It's like my computer restarted or something. I don't know what the hell happened. And so I went to YouTube, I went to my video manager, and it said that like 40% was uploaded, but it just stopped. And so I had to start over from scratch. So that delayed it like almost another additional hour. And I've just been having a lot of problems like that. For example, I'm starting really late today. I'm about 45 minutes later than I should be in getting this show started. And so it's going to be another late episode today. And so I just want to apologize for this. It's not my intention to have these late shows posted so late. Eventually, I've got to get this situation worked out. But until then, just consider it basically a nighttime show. Because that's pretty much what it's going to be for the immediate future. The other apology I have is, if you watched episode 31, you might have noticed that the back half of the episode did not have a lot of like video and pictures. And the reason for that is I have a specific amount of time that I can spend on the editing part of the show. And once I reach a certain time of day, it's pretty much game over, and I just have to like let it go. And so that's why there wasn't a lot of video, a lot of pictures on the back half of that episode yesterday, because I simply ran out of time. And I was like, the hell with this. I got to render this crap. I need to get this thing on YouTube. I need to work on other stuff. So again, my apologies for all of this. I'm still going to try to deliver the best possible daily show I can, considering the situations that I'm dealing with. But again, my apologies for that, but hopefully it will get better over the next several weeks, over the next several months. I'm not planning on going anywhere. I plan on continuing to do this show as much as I can, but hopefully you guys can bear with me on those sorts of things. Okay, so the very first story of today is the Vive Focus. So the Vive Focus was officially announced. It was officially unveiled. Now, this, of course, is HTC's standalone headset. Right now, this is just scheduled for the Chinese market. It is not scheduled for the United States yet, but most likely it will. Most likely it will hit Europe as well. Of course, that will probably happen a little bit later on. Now, we did not get a release date and we did not get a price. So two of the key pieces of information we did not get. The price is probably going to be $199.99 on the low end, maybe all the way up to $299.99 on the high end, maybe $250, somewhere in this kind of price range, somewhere, you know, $200, $250, $300, somewhere right around there. Remember, this is a standalone headset, but it does have 6 degrees of freedom. The Oculus Go does not have, the headset itself does not have 6 degrees of freedom as far as I remember. So this is a little bit different. This is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 chipset. It's free of wires. You know, it has the built-in tracking. It has a built-in power supply. This is a standalone headset, optimized by the Vive Wave VR open platform, content by Viveport, the world's most immersive VR experience. Another thing they talk about is the world scale tracking, not room scale. Now we're going to world scale, giving you the freedom to wander. It all sounds amazing, but, you know, are you really going to be able to take this to the park and just be able to wander all over the place with your dorky headset on as long as you have enough battery juice? We also don't know what the battery, like how long does the battery last, because that's a key factor as well. Now, Engadget did get a hands-on try of this device, and so right now I am on the Engadget website, and Richard Lai, this is 7 hours ago, he actually got his hand on an actual unit and tried it, and I was going to just read some of his initial thoughts. He says, the look and feel of the Focus is pretty much everything I expected. Compared to the original Vive, the Focus is lighter, combined with its rotational head strap plus a new cushion, extra comfort while being worn. The only tracking component being the dual camera tracking module. The Focus has a noticeably cleaner look than its higher end cousin. And let's see, the bottom of the main body has an interpupillary distance dial. That's good that it has a legitimate dial there, a headphone jack and volume buttons. The top side features a micro USB socket for recharging. Let's see, it has a high resolution AMO LED screen, and the pixel density is a little bit higher, or maybe the same as a regular HTC Vive headset. And then he talks about the 3 degrees of freedom Bluetooth controller. It's a little bit smaller than the Samsung Gear VR controller. I was just trying to see. One thing he mentioned here is he was very surprised by the accurate tracking in Spark of Light, a game that was ported from Daydream. He says the introduction level that he played involved interacting with a glowing fairy and solving puzzles using the controller in order to guide a boy through the woods. I could walk around the world and even bend down to take a closer look at objects, which was definitely something I wouldn't be able to do with previous standalone VR devices. That's where that 6 degree of freedom tracking comes in, because you can physically move around and actually have agency from that standpoint. Now, the controller is 3 degrees of freedom, so they didn't go all in with having both 6 degrees of freedom on the controller and the headset itself. But let's see, let me think of any other little things here. Basically, he says, while it's never a perfect start for this kind of new technology, the developers did only have 2 weeks maximum to port their existing VR titles to the Vive Focus. So here's hoping that with a bit more time, they will be able to smooth out the kinks. Having seen how well Spark of Light performed on the Focus, I can safely say that next-gen mobile VR is finally here. And that is Richard Lai, from Engadget, who was there at the unveiling and was able to try it out. So basically, what's my take on the Vive Focus? Is this something that I'm going to be interested in? Probably not. I'm not really in this particular market. I do understand the idea here. If this is $199, and we don't know that that's the case, but if this is $199, that is a great mass market price point. In fact, a lot of studies have been done. I've been a video game fan since the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days of old. And I remember even back in those days, I remember representatives from Nintendo and representatives from Sega way back in those days would even say that $199 price point, there's something magical about getting below that $200 price point, even if it's only 1 penny below, that it changes the conversation. That when something is $199.99, it seems a lot more accessible to the average individual. And so we don't know that this is going to be $199, but if it is, it does open it up to that mass market potential. Remember, you don't need to plug a phone into this. It's all built in from the get-go. This is great for people that have to do a lot of airplane travel. You can throw this headset on and kind of disappear into some other world during your airplane flight, so you don't have to worry so much about being on the plane. Some people, the only thing that sucks though is like, I'm not a fan of flying, okay? I'm not scared to death of flying, but every time the plane takes off, the landing usually isn't too bad. It's the takeoff. It's just whenever you leave the ground, it's like, I'm off the ground now. I kind of want to be back on the ground. I know it's safe for the most part, but the thing that sucks is if you did have one of these headsets, it's not like you're going to be able to put it on during takeoff, which is really when you want to put it on. You would like to be in another place and not even know that you're on a plane during the takeoff and during the landing. And that's the time when they won't let you use electronic devices, which kind of sucks. But this would be good for people that travel a lot. It's a relatively compact device because you don't have all the tracking stuff that goes along with it. You don't even need a laptop or anything. Everything is built in. It's using the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 chipset. I'm imagining that a lot of Gear VR titles are being ported over. Now, this is going to be optimized by the Vive Wave VR open platform, content by Viveport. See, this is where the stumbling blocks come into play, because while Vive does have this name brand for VR that they've built, and I'm sure that's what attracted Qualcomm to partner up with HTC for one of these reference designs, the company is probably not the most well-run company that's out there. I mean, let's just be honest about that. So I kind of wonder on the content side about it, assuming that Gear VR and Daydream products can be ported over to this platform without too much trouble. You'll get plenty of content from that. So that looks good from that standpoint. Now, in another little bit of news, HTC was going to have a Daydream compatible headset, and that has been canceled. And that project, as far as we know, that project has basically been completely canceled. So there is not going to be a Daydream related headset that is going to be coming to the USA or even worldwide. And it's very possible that this situation has developed mainly because of the Vive Focus. And so with the Vive Focus, they feel like that is their standalone product. They don't want to get involved with another standalone product. And an HTC representative in an interview with TechCrunch said, "We still have a great relationship with Google, but will not be bringing a standalone device to the Western markets on Daydream." Now, they specifically said to the Western markets, so I guess there could still be a chance, but I was reading somewhere else where it sounds like the entire project has just been shut down and is no longer happening. So I don't even know if they're going to have a product, a Daydream product in the Eastern markets either. And Clay Bavor, who is head of VR at Google, he tweeted, "Confirmed, no Daydream standalone from HTC, but we remain great partners." And that's what the other guy said. We have a great relationship with Google. So basically, they're both saying, look, everything's cool here, but no Daydream coming from HTC. It's not really a big deal. We still got a great relationship with Google. Google has a great relationship with us. Everything is cool. So that is the Vive Focus news that I have for you. And again, just to wrap it up, I'm not really in the market for this so much, although this is more tempting. I've always been interested in the Gear VR, but I've never owned a Samsung phone that would plug into the thing, so it was kind of a non-starter for me. But if this thing is available for $199.99, that does present a possibility. I'm still not really in the market for that personally, but it would be a lot more tempting if this was on the market and it was freely available. The fact of, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they really can do something with world scale. Can they make something where you can go out to the middle of an empty field, like in the park or something? Let's say you're with a buddy, right? So you have somebody watching your back so that you don't get beat over the head while you're doing something with your headset, not being aware of what's going on. But imagine being in the middle of a huge field, 50 yards in every direction, and having some kind of not room scale, world scale type of experience, and you just have a buddy like letting you know not to go too far and keeping his eye on you type of thing. That would be super interesting. I don't know when we're going to get to that point. I've always kind of had this dream too, where this is probably more of an AR thing, but I've always thought with AR in terms of people who jog or people who bike ride. Imagine if you were wearing an AR headset and you have zombies that are chasing you. I mean, what an incentive to keep riding your bike and to keep jogging and maybe improve your times a little bit. That would be pretty interesting. So we'll have to see if we ever get something like that a little bit farther down the line. Okay, so the next story I have, Killing Floor Incursion is now available on Steam. Yes, today is November 14th, and Killing Floor Incursion has come to Steam. It is $39.99, so not exactly a cheap game. The Steam version includes a new update called Holdout, and this new update is coming to the Oculus Rift version as well. So if you already own the game on the Oculus Rift, I happen to own it on the Rift already, I can go ahead and go to my Oculus account, and I'm sure there's going to be an update ready. It is called Holdout. Now, what the new update includes, it includes a new hardcore difficulty setting. There is a katana weapon that is included, but you can only use it in the Holdout scenario. There's leaderboards, achievements, and the new Holdout game mode, where players will need to defend a random location in one of the game's maps against increasingly deadly hordes of Zeds. So it's kind of interesting that this is going to feature this new hardcore difficulty setting, because I'll tell you what, Killing Floor Incursion, the difficulty's pretty much up there as it is. I still have not completely finished this game, and one of the reasons I haven't completely finished, I believe I'm like 85% of the way through the game, but one of the downsides of Killing Floor Incursion in my time with the game is it had a number of bugs that I dealt with in my time with the game, especially from the standpoint of I would get to a boss level, okay, and you would be fighting a boss, and if you didn't complete that stage, and you had to stop and you had to get out of the game, and then you came back to the game later and you loaded up on that boss level. A lot of times I would load up the boss level, I would be in there, there's no boss, nothing is happening, it's some type of bug. I would have to go back, I would have to load it to a previous point in the game, try to get through that part, get to the boss area, and actually beat the boss all in one fell swoop, because if I didn't do that, I would have to keep going back to that previous point and loading it. I couldn't just load the boss. Now my hope is, now that they're adding this new Holdout mode, my hope is that there is a general update to the game overall, and hopefully some of these bugs have been ironed out, and hopefully they don't have some of these bugs on the Steam version. I think Killing Floor Incursion is an amazing game. I really love this game. I would say it's got to be one of the 20 best VR games of 2017, and that is incredibly high praise when you think about all the great VR games that we've got in 2017. Now, this is definitely a horror game. This is not for the faint of heart. This is one of those games that is going to trigger your fight or flight response. These Zeds get up in your face. They're pissed off. They're angry. They come stomping at you. You have to deal with waves of them where they're just relentlessly attacking you. And then finally you get a chance to breathe easy for a little while before you encounter another wave of them. I thought the game was damn good. I think it's an impressive game, and Steam, if you have a Vive and you never picked up Killing Floor Incursion before, you wanted to wait for a native version, this is a great option. Unfortunate for Tripwire Interactive, they're releasing this on Steam in a very busy time and a very expensive time, because this is another $40 game. And the downside of that is that, you know, people, I mean, we just talked about Serious Sam yesterday only getting 2,000 sales. You had the Talos Principle, you have Emberstone, a lot of big games that recently came out. There's a lot of big games coming up like Doom VFR and Fallout and LA Noire. So it's kind of a harsh time to be releasing a primetime game like this. Hopefully it will find a decent audience. And Tripwire Interactive, I thought they did a great job. Obviously they do have some bugs they need to iron up, but I still think Killing Floor Incursion is a high-end release. Okay, another story we need to get to. From Other Suns is now available, $39.99. There are reviews for this game already that are showing up. In fact, some of them started to show up yesterday. VR Roundtable, to the best of my knowledge, we did not get a key for From Other Suns. VR Game Rankings did not get a key for From Other Suns. This really is not my type of game. I mean, I could play this game. Like, if I got a key for this game, I would definitely play it, and I would try to get a feel for it, and I would try to get into it and have a review for it and all of that. But the fact that I didn't get a key for this, I'm probably not going to fork over the $40 to try to play this, just because I never bought Star Trek Bridge Crew. I never bought Werewolves Within. All of these concepts are kind of cool. I tried when From Other Suns had that one free weekend. I did try it. I played it for a little bit. There are some really cool things about it. I like on your wrists how it has like the power-up stuffs. There were some very nice things about From Other Suns, and it had that Star Trek Bridge Crew type gameplay as well, and then it had the interaction with your crewmates. But instead of simply being on the bridge, like, you can actually explore other ships, you get to battle things, and there is that camaraderie and all of that. So I understand why there would be a lot of people that would be very excited for From Other Suns, but for me, I have to pass on a few games, and this is probably one that I'm just going to be passing on. But it's nothing against the game personally, it's just not necessarily my type of game. So probably won't have a lot of coverage on From Other Suns, unfortunately. High Noon VR is another game that came out today. Now, this is a $10 game. It's being released by Octobox Interactive. I don't have a ton of information on High Noon VR other than seeing the trailer for it. It looks kind of fun. It looks kind of interesting. The problem with a lot of these unknown VR games is you will see a trailer that looks really good, really interesting. You end up getting the game, and the game doesn't really look like the trailer. I've seen this happen a number of times, so you got to be careful when you watch these trailers. I really think one thing that we need for the VR marketplace is some type of 360-degree trailer where we can actually stand in the world, in the actual game engine, and see a quick demonstration of the game running and actually be in the game engine, because then I think you get a much more realistic idea of what the game really is going to look like. Because you see some of these trailers, these games look absolutely drop dead gorgeous. They look amazing. You get the actual game and it's like, hey, what happened? This doesn't really look like that. This looks washed out. The colors are kind of muted. It just doesn't look quite as good as it did. And so that could be a concern with High Noon VR. We'll have to see if there's some reviews on it. I've never heard of the developer Octobox Interactive. So there's so many VR games. This is one of the difficult things about being involved with a website like I am. There are so many VR games that are constantly coming out that it's hard to know what you should pay attention to. It's hard to know, is this something that's even worth my time or is it not worth my time? Because you can't make a blanket statement and just say, no, these are a bunch of crappy indie games, I don't want to cover them. Because there are some true gems that come out of a lot of these indie games. You get some great games that are mixed in that people don't know about. And so I kind of want to cover a lot of this stuff, but then at the same time, you get these games and you play them and it's like, man, it's just not that good. I'm close to the 25-minute mark, but you know what I'm going to cover really quick? I'm going to cover a game called Adventure Golf VR. It's a $10 game. Now, this game came out last week. This is by Skydome Studios. And I'm going to bring this up because this is exactly to my point. So last week I was on Reddit and I saw a post about Adventure Golf VR, and I think it was Skydome Studios. They were kind of announcing the game, and they had a giveaway where they were giving away a few keys to Adventure Golf VR, and I watched the trailer for it, and after watching the trailer, I was like, oh my God, this looks so colorful. This looks cute. It looks vibrant, colorful. I like games that have a lot of color. I like, like Mario and Sonic, like throw a ton of color on the screen. Why not? It's one of the reasons I like Winlands. I like games that are kind of colorful and whimsical. And that's exactly what Adventure Golf VR looked like. And so I went ahead and shot an email to the developer and said, hey, can you spare a code for this Adventure Golf VR? I'd like to check it out. Well, Skydome Studios, thanks a lot. They did send me a code. I was able to try the game out. Unfortunately, I don't have very good news about this game. Honestly, I just didn't think it was very good. First of all, I got into the game, and this is to my point of the trailer. The trailer looked so colorful, so beautiful. Everything was so vibrant, so crisp, so clean. I get into the actual game. The colors are not as vibrant as they were. It's kind of muted. It just doesn't look all that great. And the physics of the game, like my golf club, just was way too long. I couldn't figure out a way to like change the height of the golf club like you can do in Cloudlands VR Mini Golf. The bottom line is Cloudlands VR Mini Golf blows Adventure Golf VR out of the water. The only redeeming quality I can really say towards Adventure Golf VR is it's only $10. And the other redeeming thing I can say about it is if you have a young child, like an 8-year-old kid, a 9-year-old kid, they might actually have some fun with Adventure Golf VR because it's more simple. Cloudlands VR Mini Golf, the farther you get into that game, it can get kind of hard and it can get kind of frustrating. Not so much for an adult, but if you put a kid in it, the courses can get kind of complicated, where with this game, with Adventure Golf VR, the courses are much more simplistic. And they kind of have like a prehistoric one. They have one with like spaceships and stuff. So they have like 3 different courses, I think, with 9 holes each. The physics just aren't very good. The golf game is not that good. It's not absolutely horrible. Like, it's not completely awful. The game works for the most part, but this is a perfect example of you just cannot judge these games based on the trailers. You just can't. Because getting into this game, I was expecting it to be just this colorful, magical world similar to Winlands or similar to Robots Rescue from Playroom VR, the one by Japan Studios for PlayStation VR, that one where you control that little robot guy and it's kind of like a Mario game. Incredibly colorful, just absolutely amazing. Winlands is incredibly colorful. I've played a lot of incredibly colorful games, like Dino Frontier is very colorful and vibrant. And that's what I was expecting with Adventure Golf VR based on the trailer. Didn't really happen, and I'm going to have to say probably pass on this one unless you have like an 8-year-old kid or something, maybe. But other than that, probably not. Okay, guys, so we're close to the 29-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, and that is going to do it for we are on episode 32. It is Tuesday, November 14th, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.